Blessed day, brothers and sisters. Blessed day, soul family. I am moved today to speak more deeply to the why behind one expression of Tantamunay, which is Tantamunay Shipibo Clothing. We all have an authentic abundance. The authentic abundance that lives within each and every one of us is our natural essence, our fertile soil of what we have been called to by Spirit to learn, understand, be, and express. The cultural authentic abundance that exists within the Shipibo lineages is centered around one expression that we know well, that is ayahuasca. In the origin of the ancestral lineages of the Shipibo, the woven tapestries were historically used to exchange for all the things that the jungle didn't naturally provide. Things such as candles, gasoline, salt. The jungle has always provided the authentic abundance needed for any Shipibo to live in harmonious balance with our earth. In their history, that balance became disrupted. That balance became disrupted when the madereros and the pescadores, when the loggers and the fishermen came from outside of that ancestral wisdom and started to profit from the nature that the Shipibo lived within. This imbalancing is seen today in the expression of the Shipibo where in many communities there is a beginning of starting to resonate with the concept of poverty and lack. This is not their fault, nor is it our fault, in how it expresses in the individual and collective considerations of every one of us. However, there is a call to return the authentic abundance naturally arising to those to whom it belongs. Since Tantamunay Shipibo Clothing began, this has been a part of the weaving. This wisdom, this knowledge, these beautiful visions woven are not ours to profit from, nor have they ever been. Whilst we live in an expression that includes the energy of money, whilst we live in a society that uses this, it is believed from this position and this humble perspective that this can be used to benefit our earth, to be a bridge, to be medicine. And whilst we live in this society, may there be a space and place in which everything that comes from the earth is used for the benefit of the earth and her peoples. The first time on this journey of sharing the Shipibo Clothing, built a retreat center through this soul's expression, with Shipibo as the leaders of that ayahuasca retreat center, which still stands today. For those that raises questions about why am I not there, the answer is simple. On the journey with medicine, on the journey with plants, on the journey of soul's journey, there are many tasks, many considerations, and many reasons where we are called to learn the lessons needed to be able to stand where I stand today. Tantamunay Shipibo Clothing is called into its expression for the benefit and well-being of the entire Shipibo village. This is ancestral wisdom that is theirs. Everyone had their part to play for the well-being of the village. The fishermen fished for the well-being of the village. The hunters hunted for the well-being of the village. And is this global village expression, we all have our part to play for the well-being of our global village. And this, expressed through this soul, is the expression of my offering to our global village. I have been sat with a question for a long time, how to play my part in the preservation and continuance of tribal and cultural wisdom upon this earth, finding ourselves in the place that we do today, finding myself in villages, Shipibo villages, where there is the beginning of resonance with the word poverty and lack. This is not how I observe these people, nor is it how many of you observe these people. So the question has been how to bring naturally occurring wealth and abundance in the moment that we find ourselves in now. Naturally occurring wealth and abundance came from the rivers, came from the trees, which have been impacted by those who sought to profit from those expressions of nature. And so now we find ourselves in a monetary expression coming into a culture with whom they did not dance with that energy for a very long time. I know that I cannot regrow the trees or fill the rivers with fish in one night. But what I can do is bring culturally appropriate, sustainable work to all of the women in the 56 Shipibo communities along the Ucayali River who are moved to join in this vision and join within this project. Those of us who have come from the West, come from what is named Occidental society, know deeply that there is a journey to be had with learning about the impact and considerations of having the expression of abundance that is named money within our worlds. This is a new consideration for the Shipibo Conibo. And so there are expressions of separation that are coming into the communities based around this energy dancing. So the call of Tantamunay Shipibo Clothing is this: to bring authentically arising abundance back into the communities for the well-being of individual women who are called to support their families, and also for communities as a collective, maintaining and returning and remembering that unity consciousness for the well-being of the village is a very lived ancestral truth for these people. And to continue that weaving in the world that we find ourselves in now. So supporting Tantamunay Shipibo Clothing is supporting a return to women supporting women, a return to the authentically arising abundance, belonging and returning for the well-being of those from which it came. To weave projects that continue the preservation of tribal culture, of the ancestral knowledge of the Shipibo Conibo, which primarily focus around ayahuasca, as we all know. In the modern expression of the Shipibo Conibo, the expression of abundance that is manifested centers around the medicine. Those who are maestros bring those from other places and spaces from all across the world, which still is of benefit to the whole village. The women are able to sell their tapestries. The women are able to feed their families. The women are those who are stepping in and supporting the continuation of the culture. There is a cultural impact of the destruction of the forest lands, of the ancestral lands on which the Shipibo live. There is an impact of the colonialization, of the identification of moving into, going into employment, leaving ancestral lands to seek employment that will bring money abundance to the native communities. Many young people are moved by this call to support their families, their parents, their grandparents, to stay in tribal culture, to stay upon their ancestral lands, to deal with and manage and bring medicine to the feeling of lack within those communities. It is hoped with the Shipibo Tantamunay project of clothing that there can be medicine that is brought to this, that there can be authentic abundance brought to the doors of all of those who are still living in their ancestral communities, to bring abundance there that is natural for them to be connected to. It is also the hope of Tantamunay Shipibo Clothing to continue to play a part in the preservation of this ancestral wisdom that has helped us all so much. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for holding this wisdom sacred for so long for us in this moment and in this time. We appreciate you, we honor you, we respect you, we value you. When women come together in circles, in an oral tradition, from an ancestral culture such as the Shipibo, they sit in circle and they share about their culture with their children. They pass on lineage. They share stories. They share mythology. They share ways of being and memories of their ancestors. When women come together in circles and sew together, this wisdom is passed down. One of the other aims of Tantamunay Shipibo Clothing is to hold the space of there being an opportunity for women to continue to sit in circle, to continue to share their culture, to continue to share mythology and pass on their ancestral knowledge orally between each other as they have always done. So your support of this project is supporting the continuation and preservation of many different expressions of the Shipibo way of life. As when we can see, we are called to act. I come from the island of the UK, which was ancestrally 90% forest lands, and now is not. Now there are no expressions of the medicine women and medicine men that were present when the trees were there. There is ancestral grief in that can be seen by any of us who live in a culture that has been disconnected from our own natural ways of being. And so I am moved to continue in this journey, to continue to support maestros such as Maestro De Mero, who holds the lineage deeply with a lot of love, to continue to support the women in tribe, as the one is not without the other. The whole village is important for the continuation and preservation of this culture in the world that we find ourselves in now. And for all of you who have healed with medicine, we of course want it to continue. We have benefited from what they have held so deeply for so long. And this is our way, collectively, through this project, of giving back and being a bridge collectively together to the continuance of ancestral wisdom held within the villages and held within the medicine. Ichabrisidaku unaida huni. Uni kushida.
Nước sky ở đi bắt ta na